Okay, here's a tutorial on how to remove the barrel effect caused by a fisheye lens on any camera using Sony Vegas. I have two tracks here. I have my first one, which is muted, which is already cut and already has the video effects added and all of the settings corrected for the barrel effect. The second video is untouched, and I'm going to show you how to add the effect. So how you add an effect is you hover over the video clip that you're working with and click on the button that says Event FX. The next window that will open is all the effects that you can add to your video. To remove the barrel effect, the effects that you want to add is called Sony Deform. Once you've done that, it opens another window that has all of the settings for your video effects. I generally start off by putting 0.50 in the amount. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and straighten the horizon so that it doesn't look like it has the fisheye lens. How you remove the black from the top of your screen is by using the squeeze sliders left and right. Now once I've done that, you can see that the barrel effect is pretty much gone. It's not perfect, but I didn't really want to make the video super long. So you can see it's not perfect, but if you compare it to how it looked before, you can see the difference in what I'm getting at. This is how you would remove the barrel effect, and you can adjust this to perfection. Don't worry if you mess something up, because you can always zero it out. As you can see, once I've hit 0, it's pretty much changed me back to before I added the deform effect, with the exception of these here. But I'm going to change that back because that's the setting that I'm using to correct this. The other thing that I want to point out is that removing the barrel effect is different with a tilt than it is a pan, because you have to add more keyframes, and I'll explain that. Like I said, this video is already edited and already has everything corrected, but let me show you the difference between a tilt and a pan. In a tilt, your camera is more at an angle, so the barrel effect becomes more prominent as the camera tilts. In a pan, you can see that the barrel effect is pretty consistent. So when you get into adding an effect to your video, there's things called keyframes, and let me show you what they are. Inside of a video, if you hit the animate button, it brings up a timeline of your video, and there's a little diamond at the beginning. That's a keyframe. Basically, the settings that I've added is pretty much set here. If I change those settings, that's saved in this keyframe, is a good way to describe it. So if I wanted the screen to curve wildly by the end of it, I would go ahead and adjust the timeline to where I want it, and then I'd add a keyframe. Okay, so now I've added a crazy keyframe, and what's going to happen is I'm going to go from my corrected setting to my really crazy setting. Watch the settings as I move the cursor along the timeline. You can add keyframes with just about every FX, but what you see here is the keyframe which has the original settings and the keyframe that has the final settings, and as the timeline progresses, the settings change to meet the settings at pretty much the last keyframe. So now that you understand keyframes, the reason why I pointed out the difference between a tilt and a pan is because with a tilt you actually have to set 2 or more keyframes to adjust it since you're tilting. At a pan, all you have to do is set 1 keyframe if you do a straight horizontal pan. I added a crazy keyframe in this one. I'm going to remove it and show you. Now this is a pan, and as you can see there's 1 keyframe. Let's see what it looks like. So this is not perfect, but this is just for the example. This is the method how you remove the barrel effect. With the tilt, I have 2 keyframes. I have my settings where the tilt begins. At the very frame my tilt begins, I set the settings to have a horizon that's straight. Where my last frame ends is where I set my final settings, and then pretty much the settings progress until they get to their final settings. With some tilts you may have to add more keyframes, but check out how my video looks. As you can see, that looks much better than this. So that's pretty much how you change the settings on defocus to correct the fisheye lens. Let me go ahead and render this and show you the final result. And like I said, it's not perfect. This is just an example for this tutorial. When you have a project that you want to spend more time in, you can fine-tune it to perfection. Okay, I've rendered my video and here is the end result. So yeah, it's not perfect, but you get the point. This is the method you would use to remove the barrel effect from a fisheye lens. If you have any questions, go ahead and post. I'll respond.